are you doing wherever you are today? I hope you're having a good day. I took a couple of minutes to review the content of other videos that I've done recently to determine what held everybody's interest. Where I was trying to figure out, where do I need to talk more? Where would it be helpful for me to, enter into this conversation about just really determining and developing the psychic parts of what we are. That's really what these are about. And talking, again, I can't say enough times about really learning to quantify and qualify that energy, understanding what it is. It's a major part of all of this. I will tell you this. And so getting back to that idea of the five physical senses and the five psychic senses, that really becomes a process that we really have to enter into by really beginning our own awareness, starting to put in place sort of a question in our mind: what's going on around me? What am I feeling? What am I sensing? And one of the things that I did, again, years ago, was that I used to get on the subway in New York City, and I would ride for a couple of hours, and I would just go down I would just go person to person, and I would just sort of start to psych into them. And I'd be like, well, how do I feel like this is a person I'd like? And do they feel warm to me? Do they feel cold to me? Do they feel emotional to me? And I would just continue to do that kind of work, again, looking to develop my own awareness, learning about how my own psychic ability worked and how it was triggered within me. One of the things that I've talked about over the years, and again, you may attribute this to other things, but it is particularly attributable to psychic people. And that is that sometimes, because of how we're operating on a psychic level, we actually kind of know a person around us better than that person knows themselves. I often talk about people falling in love, and one of the things we can do as sort of hyperpsychic people is we can really get engaged with who that person is on an energetic level, remembering that we all live in a range of energy, right? So, there's a sort of a bad boy in me, and there's a really good boy in me. And depending on who people are, they could be engaging with me in any range of that part of who I am energetically. Again, I'm not trying to overcomplicate all of this for you. I'm just kind of trying to support you, and again, expanding your consciousness, your awareness, knowing what this is what's happening with this, because it's going on. Whether you like it or not, it's going on. Might as well figure out what it is and what it's all about. So what this ultimately brings is that sometimes we can fall in love or become infatuated with people in the range of energy of who they are, when in truth, most of us live in the middle of our range. We're not completely bad and we're not completely good. We're somewhere sort of in that middle. And so it really becomes, in some ways, our responsibility to learn our process and what we need to do to figure out who that person is, or how we're energetically reacting to them or not. I'm forever getting emails and stories from people telling me about blowups they've had with other people, and they just don't understand it. They're like, I didn't do this. I don't understand why this person acted the particular way. And of course, we know that part of that is they're reacting to psychic energy as much as how that person is physically or mentally or emotionally acting out. That person's just, really feeling that. I often tell the story about being on the subway in New York City, and I started to feel worried. I was getting really concerned that I was about to experience some kind of violence. It was late at night. There weren't many people on the subway. And so as this apprehension grew, I, of course, became even more vigilant. Got off the subway, and sure enough, could see, light was out. There was a guy hanging under the space where a light should be. And, he certainly could have been the source of some problem for me. Do I know that for sure? No, I don't. But I live literally within my belief structure, which is that we have five physical senses, we have five psychic senses, and it would be pretty silly if I wasn't paying attention to them. And so that's for me, and I'll call that for me. Not, you don't have to feel silly if you're not, because we all have these choices. Though, again, so many times I hear from people, Oh, I already knew that was going to happen. I expected that to happen. There was no surprise. I'm disappointed, but yes, it did go on and happen. So again, these are all examples of us, really operating from that level. I guess to share with you, probably one of the things that I literally began doing many years ago, and it kind of isolates me or isolated me, was because even though I tend to be kind of outgoing, um, when I'm in a social situation, I'll tend to pull back and observe psychically if there is something going on in the environment that I feel drawn to, maybe some worry or concern that somebody's having, or maybe there's somebody's energy that's not doing too well with me. And I can, literally sit and kind of zoom through the room and pick out that energy. So I share that with you as an encouragement that you start to be pulling back and saying simple questions, what's going on here? And what am I feeling? Because that's really the path to even more deeply understanding those five psychic senses. And remember, they only operate one at a time. They're, not two or three going on at a time. That just doesn't happen. For an example, if I'm having a clairvoyant experience, I describe it as like a movie that shows in my head. While that movie's operating, I'm really not aware of anything that's going on around me. Again, something that is, coming, something in the future. So I share that with you, but it's the step about this is really getting to that place where we're stepping into the belief and we're owning this part of who we are. And I, look, I can tell you from my own experience, it's a process of being willing to, really embrace all of this, because it really creates a very dramatic shift in our life and our world. So that's it for today. Just a real brief, quick talk. I hope that wherever you are today, you're having a wonderful day. And as always, I thank you for listening, and I welcome your questions and comments. Talk again soon. Bye for now.